Hello guys, welcome to this channel. And today is a video that I've always kind of wanted to do overall, and that's ranking all 8 Harry Potter movies. I know I'm not including the Fantastic movies. I know I haven't reviewed them yet. That's because I'm going to wait a little bit to review them because Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore, I don't know when I'm going to see it because I haven't seen it yet. I've seen Multiverse this weekend. This is, by now, this video is probably not going to come out till maybe Thursday, I don't know. So we'll figure that out, and then Friday, Saturday, I can review those ones, and Monday, there you go. I'll figure it out. So, not much to say. Wizarding World playlist, go check it out. Go check out my Avatar 2 trailer reaction. Go check out my 100 subscribers, and speaking of that, camp is coming back in like a month. It's on June 18th. I'm leaving there. My goal is to try to get 100 subs by then. I think we can do it. That'll be awesome. You guys, if you subscribe, you're awesome. Thanks for subscribing, all of you. You guys are all great. So, not much to say, but I think we can get into it. Starting things off in last place is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So, I think the thing with this one is that it's a good movie. I actually think it has a great story, a great setup for a story. The stuff they do with Draco Malfoy is pretty great. Same with Snape. The problem is, it's so dull. The desaturation is so distracting. It makes it look dark, but at the same time, it just has a very dull look. So it's not a very fun movie to look at. All the relationship stuff, I've talked about this in my last bunch of Harry Potter reviews, and I just hate it. Everything about it, specifically between Harry and Ginny, it's so awkward, so distracting, and it takes away pretty much from a lot of the good things that happen in this movie, which there are a bunch of good things. Like, I think the final battle is great, where the stuff with Dumbledore and Snape, I think all of those character stuff works really nicely. All the stuff with, the Death Eaters works pretty well, and the way it kind of builds up intrigue works pretty well, and it's, the way it tells the story is kind of a better version of what the first two did, essentially, but the way the story plays out is just very weird. There are some nice new characters, like Professor Slughorn. I think Draco Malfoy has been kind of promoted to a higher spot than just like a average bully, I guess. And I think I like some of those aspects, but overall, I do think this is the worst of the main Harry Potter movies. Next up at number 7 is going to be Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Think of this one, the pacing is, not the pacing, it's the running length that really hurts this one, where I think this one only needed to be maybe as long as the first one, about a 2.5-hour movie. And then this one, it's like almost 3 hours, it's a minute shorter than The Godfather. So, there you go. And the thing with this one, the pacing of it gets weird. It starts off really slowly, and then picks up. And then after the part where, and then it slows down as you get into, the 4th, 5th, and then it picks up as you get to the end, which I think the end, and then it slows down until pretty much the ending. So, there you go. Yeah, the pacing in this one's very weird. And then, overall, other things I'm not care for. I think the way they play around with the air Slytherin, it just goes off in so many meandering directions that you just kind of lose interest, and you're just like, when can this movie end at times? At the same time, because it's a Harry Potter movie, because I love this universe, it's kind of what just elevates this one for me, at least. And I think it introduces 3 of the best side characters in the series: Gilderoy Lockhart, Dobby, and Lucius Malfoy, which all 3 of them are great in their own way. And overall, I think the little mystery, I think, works much better than the first one does. And first story template, I think, where the first one had to do all the setup and then go into the mystery, this one can just go right into the mystery. And I think as it does that, though it does meander around, I think if it was a bit shorter and a bit like that, I think this could have been one of the better ones. Next up at number 6 is going to be Deathly Hallows Part 1. I think of this one, I think it's actually a really well-directed movie. There's a bunch of great sequences, like the sequence of the Ministry is fantastic, as well as that chase at the beginning is very intense. All the stuff in the woods works pretty well. I think getting to have our trio kind of be together for a while, and then they go back to some great locations like Godric's Hollow. You have the Malfoy's home. You have what's it called? The Mr. Lovegood's home. The way it kind of shifts around, I think, actually works pretty well. I think the pacing of this one, it's a little bit slow, but I think it's better than a lot of the other ones, Chamber of Secrets and Half-Blood Prince. But I think the problem with this one is that, like most other books that are split into 2 movies, you also have this issue with Hunger Games, where the second half gets all the awesome payoff lowered because it's only setup. And it's like you just want the payoff to come with it right after, and you don't really get that. And it even ends at a weird point. I think the Dobby dying, pretty emotional death. I think it was a well-directed scene. but I think the way it kind of plays out is a little odd because I don't think the finale is all that satisfying. And overall, I do enjoy this one still. I think there are great moments here. But I think the weirdest thing is that they only destroyed one Horcrux. Granted, two of them were destroyed in the past, and then the last four or five or three are destroyed in the last one. So I think there's seven, so four, I guess. And it's just kind of odd the way it plays out, if I'm gonna be honest. But at the same time, there are some great sequences, and overall, I do think this is still a good Harry Potter movie. Coming number 5 is gonna be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I think with this one, it really depends on my mood. I used to love this one, had it near the top, and then I watched it a couple times. First time was a binge watch during pandemic. Well, I guess it is, you know what I mean. And then I watched it second time, and then I kind of dropped it all the way to the bottom, pretty much. Maybe I think I had it above Half-Blood Prince. And then I actually quite enjoyed it on this last watch. And I think this one kind of goes to show, it depends on what kind of mood you're in. If you're in the mood for all this teenage angst and stuff, I think you can enjoy it. But if I'm not, yeah, at the bottom. And I think that's the thing. I think the angsty stuff, it's not as bad as it is in Half-Blood Prince, but I think it's still very weird. And the way that these kids are now turning into teenagers, it cranks up the angst way too fast, and it's just very odd. At the same time, there are some fantastic things. First one, the Trailblazer Tournament, it's excellent. I think all of the games are intense and very exciting. And the underwater one just gives me the chills. Just being drowning, that's one of my biggest favorites, I guess. I don't know, that says a lot about me, but yeah. And then also, Voldemort returning, that was an excellent scene, a good way to end the movie, if I'm gonna be honest. And it leaves a great cliffhanger, because at the midpoint, you need something to happen, and it does it well. I think there's some new good characters. A couple of them are pretty forgettable, like the Crouches. Other ones, like Alistair Moody, I know. But I thought he was a lot of fun. The way you get to learn about the curses in this one, that worked out pretty well. And overall, I think this is just a great next step in Harry Potter's years at Hogwarts. So, I think this is a good one. But it's not without issues. Coming in number 4 is going to be Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. As an opening to this franchise, the way it does the world building is pretty fantastic. And I think everything up until Quidditch, I would say, is some of the best stuff in the entire franchise. After Quidditch, as it starts getting into the mystery involving Nicholas Flamel and the Sorcerer's Stone, the mystery itself is just not all that interesting. You're not really engaged with it because you're just kind of like, okay, it's kind of an afterthought at this point because you were so interested in all the world building and the world of wizards. And, it's just kind of an afterthought. And even the way it comes to an end with Quirrell apparently having 2 heads, which, interesting CGI. And then the way that kind of plays out was very odd. So, there's a bunch of things I'm not a fan of. But overall, Diagon Alley, it all looks fantastic. Some of the CGI, like the troll, looks kind of weird, but other stuff, like some of the CGI here does age. Others of it, not so much. And overall, I think it gives us 3 great characters to follow: Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They're all very great. They're all great characters, and as everything plays, you get to learn about the spells, you get to learn about wizard mythology and sort of background stuff, and I think everything about it just worked so well. It played right to the big screen, but the mystery itself, just come on, why you could have made it a little bit more interesting. Maybe they could have just made this one a little bit longer, swap the lengths of Chamber Secrets in this one, and then I think actually that would have made more sense. Before we get into the top 3, make sure to subscribe. As I said, trying to get 100 subscribers. If you subscribe, thank you. You're awesome. Like the video, and that'll be appreciated. This is a video I've wanted to do for a while. Now I'm doing it. I'm excited. So that's why I'm sort of in a good mood. Oh, it's been a long day. So whatever. Not much to say, but let's get into the top 3. Granted, these 3 are pretty hard to rank because they're all very close, but I'll try my best. Coming in number 3 is going to be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Whereas Part 1 had the disadvantage of being just a setup movie, this one has the huge advantage of being a full-on payoff movie. And it's just payoff, 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 and it's all great. Battle of Hogwarts is great. All the stuff with Voldemort is great. Everything here just works pretty great, if I'm going to be honest. All the character stuff, now while destroying the snake. I can't talk. Now while destroying the snake. That's awesome. Neville, I think the way Neville gets to be a hero, he's sort of been the wimp, pretty much, I guess, until Order of the Phoenix. Even in Order of the Phoenix, he's sort of wimp, but then he does a bunch of heroic stuff like the stuff on the bridge and destroying the snake, as I've said. Other things, Snape's backstory. I didn't really mention Snape throughout this video, but I think he's a fantastic character. Alan Rickman's a fantastic actor, and he does a fantastic job, and that whole backstory stuff is pretty awesome, if I'm going to be honest. Very well-directed scene without stating much dialogue. And then a bunch of other stuff. The final battle between Harry and Voldemort, very satisfying end to this franchise. And overall, as a conclusion, it worked perfectly. I don't know if the only reason why I just don't think it's as high is because it's just the second part to a story, and you kind of just want to watch part two and part one and part two in one sitting. But the problem is, it's just it's over 5 hours. I don't know if it's over 5 hours, but it's almost 5 hours long if you put the two together. So it doesn't make that so very minor nitpick, but it is what it is. And then also the fact that the Malfoys don't get any punishment is very weird. That I've always found that very weird, if I'm going to be honest. And logically, would Snape really become the headmaster, especially after? And someone would have known, besides Harry, someone would have known that he was the one that killed Dumbledore. So wouldn't McGonagall have taken over? She seems a much more popular teacher, at least. I don't know. So just some minor nitpicks, but great conclusion of this franchise. Okay, you have the top two. These top two are very close, but honestly, at number two, I'm going to go with Prisoner of Azkaban. I think the thing with this one, the only thing that keeps it from number one is the time travel stuff never got really mentioned after this one. That's the one thing that's keeping this from being number one. It pains me because I love this one, but that's the one thing. And overall, there's some amazing stuff. Sirius Black, fantastic character. Remus Lupin, fantastic character. A lot of the stuff with the creatures works pretty well with Hagrid. All of that's pretty great. You have all the stuff with the Dementors and Harry learning the Patronus charm. All of that works really nicely. And overall, I think this one just works as a whole. I don't really have any issues with this one, if I'm going to be honest. Other than that the time travel stuff didn't get advanced than any other. That was just the one thing. And you get Harry kind of doing a bit more than they say he did. And then these movies are starting to become a bit more mature, more so than family movie version of the first two, which does a good job with that. It gets a bit darker in this one, more mature type storytelling. And overall, I think the way it kind of plays with a bit more mature themes, I think works really well. Fonsa Cuarón is a great director, does a great job here. And I think the score of this one, John Williams just always knocks it out of the park with the scores. This is another great one. I don't know if he did the score for this one. I could be wrong, but whatever. The score still, this one is great. The fourth one, it got a little weird, but whatever. So, overall, there's a bunch of fantastic things in this one. There's some great sequences, all the stuff with the Hippogriff, getting to see sort of Hogsmeade Village, and the way it kind of ends up, where you have a whole little thing with Pettigrew, Sirius, Remus, Snape, the way it kind of ends up with the werewolves and Animagus, as you get to learn about that. All of that was really cool, and the way it ends was a pretty satisfying end. It's just the time travel stuff, it didn't make that much sense, and I wish it was just further advanced. I don't know if I rewatched this one as much as I rewatched my number one, but let's get into my number one. Very close to number two, but number one is going to be Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. I think at heart, this one's always been my favorite. It's always been between this and Prisoner, but I think this one, I just enjoy it a bit more. This one, I think I definitely rewatched this one more than I rewatched Prisoner. I don't find Prisoner to be the most rewatchable of the movies, but I think this one's very rewatchable because you have everything with the Ministry, the way all of that plays out at the beginning. I think it works pretty well. And then the middle, you have all the stuff with Hogwarts where the Ministry thinks that Dumbledore's trying to make an army to overthrow the Ministry so that he has Dolores Umbridge teach at Hogwarts, which is a bad decision. And the way it all plays out, I think works really nicely. You hate Umbridge, but the actress does a fantastic job, and she makes it so that you're supposed to hate this character, and I think that's great. I wish the storytelling was not as rushed. It feels a little rushed at times because this one, I think, is probably the second shortest one, other than Hollows Part 2. And then, but I think the thing with this one, it's just all the stuff with the Voldemort at the end. I think the end of this one, even over definitely Hollows Part 2, I'd say this one has the best ending of all of these movies, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, that whole final battle in the Ministry is just fantastic. I think everything about it's so good. And that one battle between Dumbledore and Voldemort is probably the best one in this entire franchise. And overall, I think this is the best of the Harry Potter movies. All the characters are great. All the actors are firing at all cylinders. There's some very great moments. And overall, it comes in at number 1. For your ranking of these movies in the comments below, everyone seems to have a different favorite, whether it's Order, Prisoner, Hallows Part 2, Sorcerer's Stone, or some people even take Goblet of Fire or Half-Blood Prince as their favorite. Everyone sort of has a different favorite in this franchise, and I'd like to see your ranking in the comments below. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.